Gentlemen,
Let me know, computer.
welcome, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Old
Thanks for having
Daggers,
us.
old Daggers, and according to the Facebook page, they are a fiery four-piece rock and roll band rising from the smoldering coal of Scranton, Pennsylvania. Is that still accurate?
Yeah,
That is accurate.
Who wrote that? I don't even know which one of you wrote that.
Chris, did you do that?
It looks like it's Chris. He's putting his head down.
Yeah, that was Chris.
I don't hate
Associated with smoldering coal of like Scranton for like 2 years.
I don't hate it. That's why I said it. That's why I repeated it.
It's funny because like I'm from, I'm from Wilkes-Barre, and like that's like the coal city, and then you got Scranton, that's like the electric city. So it's like, it should have been like, I don't know, like that lightning bolt from that smoldering lightning strike in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Well, that's why we're here. We're gonna fix all the problems.
Set the record straight.
We're gonna get you guys straightened out. We're gonna get you guys a new bio.
All right. Is this a better health ad?
Well, I feel like this is a long time coming.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For sure.
I know Sean. I see Sean occasionally at the Turkey Hill in Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah, we run into each other.
I don't know if I know the other guys. Maybe we've crossed paths by accident. We never formally met. So thanks for joining me. I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys tonight.
Thanks for having us, brother.
Yeah, it's June 20th. I'm hoping to get this out for Friday because Friday's the day before a big day, which is a rockin' show at the V-sSpot bar in Scranton, correct?
Yep.
And that's what the band I saw, Second Suitor, which I've never seen before, but I love their music. So that should be an awesome show.
Oh yeah, they're a phenomenal band.
And so are you guys.
Yeah,
I mean, I had a chance to listen to some of your tunes. And I mean, I gotta say, I'm really impressed. I'm not just saying that because you're across the screen from me. I'm gonna say what I kind of hear in the music. I'm hearing some Gaslight Anthem, some Hot Water music, some Social Distortion, maybe some Bad Religion. Are those kind of is all good things? Okay.
Yeah. We seem to we kind of get that. We get those influences quite a bit. Which I mean, like, I mean, like, we're definitely not knocking it whatsoever because I mean, like, we love all of those bands, and I mean, obviously, they influence what we're doing.
That's cool. Well, how'd you guys start? I mean, is this I feel like you guys have been around for a little bit of time.
Yeah, we've been around, but we've had, life happen. So, we definitely haven't been in the I guess the eye as much as maybe like some other bands that are local, just because like I said, life happens. We all have like families, responsibilities, it could be anything from, health issue to like, childcare issues and, just finding the time. But we're in no rush either.
It's hard. We were talking before we started recording that, just about kids. And I think we all have kids except for maybe one of you.
Except for me.
Gabe's got a cat.
Yeah, maybe he's smart. I don't know.
Wilson.
Although my cat did cost me $450 this week, so maybe it's not.
Yeah, they're expensive too. Trust me.
But yeah, I mean, life gets in the way, and it's all.
Yeah. As far as getting started though, like how we actually formed, me, Chris, and Sean in what 2012, 2013.
20, like a little bit before 2012.
We're in a band together called We Be Wolves.
Okay.
And then we actually played some of our last shows with Gabe's old band, Clever Clever. And then We Be Wolves ended. I ended up joining Clever Clever shortly after that. And me and Gabe have been together in bands for 7 years now in various forms. And then all the projects we were kind of all doing petered out. And then Chris and Sean were constantly saying, like, let's go back and like do some more We Be Wolves kind of stuff. Let's like start that going again. And I ended up hooking them up with Gabe, and they kind of started jamming without me. And then a month or two in, I ended up getting talked into coming in.
About a month.
Yeah,
Pretty
it
much.
wasn't too long. Well, I think the seed of it kind of happened, Anthony, if like I remember, like a few months prior, it was me meeting up with you at like the Greenridge space, and we just kind of like, you had your guitar and we were just basically messing around. It was
Yeah,
like,
just hanging out, catching up.
yeah, and like you were like throwing out like music that you were writing with like your side stuff, and we were just kind of, I grabbed the microphone and just started messing around also, and we were like, oh man, it'd be like really good to like revisit, doing stuff together, and then it kind of laid dormant for a while, and it eventually grew into what Anthony was saying, where like everybody kind of like reconnected or got connected for the first time, and it just kind of grew from there.
So it's just a natural progression.
Yeah. And that's the
Yeah,
thing,
but we've
even
all worked together in different forms over the last, what, 10 years?
well, I mean, if you really want to get super, super critical, I mean, super like, into it. I mean, me and Chris, we've been playing in Chris, when was our first band together? Like 99, 2000, something like that.
99 sounds about right.
Yeah.
I was but a child.
And at the time it was like me, Chris, and our dearly departed friend Dave Morcavage was on drums, and me and Dave were driving up whenever we had the time to go up, and we were playing in Chris's living room at the time. That's before marriage and kids.
Yeah.
Before life was over.
Yeah, Chris
And
and
before I was in
Sean.
high school.
Chris and Sean are the old daggers.
Yeah, we don't. I talk about it because I got Sean by a few.
Yeah. But I mean, like, yeah, me and Chris, we've been, I mean, like, I myself, I mean, like, I've been in so many, like, just bands since, like, the early mid 90s. Lots of street punk bands, lots of thrash bands, lots of, like, touched into, like, some metally crossover thrashy stuff. But I think this is, like, the first band that really feels, it just feels right. It's strange how right it feels.
And what would you consider this band to be? I mean, you said rock and roll, but I mean, is it? I mean, is that what it is? Rock and roll?
I'd say that's probably the best description, because it's it's not quite punk rock. It's not pop punk. It's it's kind of just straight up rock and roll. I mean,
Yeah.
from what you hear, what do you hear in it? Like, we're curious to hear what your vibe is.
I mean, I definitely hear some punk vibes to it. But rock and roll's fair too. But I think there's a nice
Yeah,
mix.
there's-
Like, I think it was Wishing Well has like just a really great this flow to it. I don't know how to explain it really.
Yeah, it's like real bouncy. Like,
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
you hear that song and you're out having some beers with the boys, and like that's just a great like soundtrack to a good time.
Ironically, our goal.
Yeah, I mean, like that song in particular always gets brought up, and it formed so, like, when we say, we've touched on this before, like when talking to everybody and anybody about like our writing process. When we talk about things being so organic, that is definitely the song that, when we wrote it, it was a complete band effort. Everybody has a piece of it. It clicked so organically, and it was so fluid that it was, I mean, it was almost supernatural, because it was a song that felt like it always existed, and it finally had its time to shine.
Yeah, it's a great song.
yeah.
When you play that song out, I mean, what is the crowd? What kind of reception does that get? I mean, it's got to be good times.
That's
It's probably the favorite when we play out, I'd say, right?
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
That's
Yeah.
always the one that people, like, after we played, they're always like, "Oh, that song, that was unreal." That tends to be the one we get complimented on the most, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter where it stands in the mix. It's like, it could be the first song, it could be the fourth song, it could be the last song. but everybody always gravitates towards that song. And I mean, it's like, it's an incredibly simple song, but it just has, there's
Like
definitely
everything.
there's something behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I really
sometimes-
think a lot of it has to do with the love that we poured into it, because it definitely is the song that we came together as a band for. Like, so there is like this love for it between all of us, because it is the very first song that we wrote all together, not separate from each other. It wasn't a song that we, hey, I've been sitting on this riff forever. Hey, I've been sitting on these lyrics forever. It was very like, I think it was Chris started playing something. And
Yeah, Chris wrote, I think, everything but the choruses, because I started doing those octave chords and that just became the chorus. But it was like, it started as Chris's.
yeah, and like, and then like the lyrics, they flowed so like just naturally, and the like everything just clicked, like the way that the drums would hit, the way that, like it just connected.
That's cool. And you said you wrote it together. Let's talk about who is who in the band and what you guys do in the band, because I unfortunately have not seen you guys perform live. So I'm curious as to who does what.
All right, who wants to start it up?
We'll start. Well, I'll start with Chris, and I'll go like from the left to right here on my screen.
So I am mostly rhythm guitar, very few leads. Like I stick to my wheelhouse. I'm originally a bass player. My first gig ever was 1994. Extends bass player, so that's how far back I go locally. So that's my wheelhouse is definitely not guitar. I'm a far better bass player, but I stick to rhythm guitar. Do backing vocals, throw vocals in wherever I can to just kind of add a little bit of extra to it. I have a much higher voice than Sean, so it's got a little bit of a nice two of us. So which I know that's things Anthony loved in the past and he appreciates, which is always a good thing. But
Good.
so I think.
And Sean, how about you?
Well, I sing and play bass. I started out as a singer in a lot of local punk bands, pretty much around like that 90, 93, 94, 95. I would lean more towards like 94, 95, I think was like when first started kind of like playing in bands, a lot of like, hey, like let's get together, let's play it up in the basement. And it was like my God, I don't even know how many random just bands and things I did back then. And then I wanted to do more. I didn't want to just be like holding a microphone. It felt like I don't know, it felt like I felt kind of empty. Like I needed something. So I picked up the bass and started playing the bass with one of my, like, I don't even remember what band it was. I think it was Abscission, which was a punk band that we started in like 97, and it lasted till about 2000, 2001, and then we split. But I started playing bass with that band, got really into like, just got a little bit more comfortable doing it, but then I missed singing. So I started with throwing out like backup vocals here and there in our songs. And then it became where it was like, hey, I can play bass and I can sing. So like, why don't I just do that? So after that, it just kind of became the thing I wanted to do. So it was just bass and guitar. I'm just kind of attached. I mean, don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, I want to put down the bass and run around. And, there are some limitations, when lugging around a bass that like, I can't, if I'm playing the bass and I'm singing, like I have to watch how I sing, because I still need to keep up with on the bass. And I'm definitely not a strong bass player, but I definitely give it my all.
Okay. Anthony, how about you?
You can tell that we're old because you ask a simple question like, "Hey, what do you do in the band?" and then we give you our entire backstory.
No,
So
no,
I'll
I love it. I love it. That's
Well, Chris, in my defense, all right, Chris set it up that way because I was just gonna be like, "Hey, I'm Sean and I play bass and sing." All
no,
right?
so this is good because there is a history with you guys. I mean, you guys have been in the scene. You guys have been playing music for a long time. So, and I want to talk about, and we'll get to this in a minute after we kind of get through this. But like, how you've grown as musicians, how how much different it is now, versus what it was back then. So this is great, and plus it's you guys talking about who you are and what you do, and that's what it's about. So if I had to guess, I hope I'm not wrong, but I'm going to say Anthony plays drums.
Oh,
No,
Oh,
see, you look like a drummer to me. You seem like this wiry, wily kind of guy. Like you'd be back there fucking banging on the drums a lot.
yeah,
I mean,
no,
he
no,
has
I'll
before.
fiddle with
Damn.
drums on occasion, but
Damn.
no, I am, I guess, mostly lead guitar.
Okay.
I hate that. Like I'm a lead guitarist, like I'm Eddie Van Halen because I'm not. But so yeah, guitar and backup vocals. I'll do some whoa-wows here and there, but
Son of a bitch.
yeah, no, Gabe,
All right.
your next
Yeah.
contestant is our drummer.
No history for you, Anthony? No, you're
Well,
too young for memories or what?
no, I just pretty much everything I've done in the last 10 years has been with one of these guys. It was We Be Wolves in like 2012, 2013, and then I was in Clever Clever with Gabe. I was part of the like Mercy Gang live act for a while also with Gabe. And then I was in Black Nile with Gabe. And now I'm doing this. So
We've
it's like
basically been
there's
grooming
history
you.
there, but
Okay.
And by the way, Anthony is a strong drummer. He can play drums for any band he'd want to. So that's a good guess.
All right. So I'm not completely off. I'm off in
No.
your role in this band, but you do look like a drummer.
Well, Anthony,
Yes.
when we had We Be Wolves going, Anthony would jump behind the drums for a couple songs. Him and our drummer would like swap out responsibilities. Like our old drummer Kyle, he would jump on guitar every once in a while, and Anthony would jump right behind there and like deliver on the drums. And I always loved the way he played drums.
I think by the end of it, it was pretty much the set was half and half. I'd be on guitar
Yeah.
for the first half and drums for the second half.
Which was weird.
I like when bands can do that. Like it just kind of brings this like different element, at least to live shows, right? Like not only does it showcase your talent, you're not just a guitar player, not just a drummer, you're not just a singer, whatever it might be, but like it kind of just has this like, as a viewer and a listener, you're listening that way, and like all of a sudden, like, oh, this guy's jumping behind the drums and he's fucking killing that too. So I think that's always a cool, like, kind of cool aspect of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it has its pros, but it also has its cons. Like with We Be Wolves, we had that element, but then there was also a pretty radical tonal shift when I was off guitar and on drums, because Kyle, the guy that would switch off with me, was very influenced by like Blur and bands of like kind of more that ilk, where the rest of us came from a more punk background. So it would almost be like it became a different band
Sure.
once that switch happened, which was cool to an extent, but it also made it very like inconsistent. It was kind of like watching two different bands live.
Sure.
Yeah, and that pretty much became like the issue with the band. I mean, like we had so many diverse songs across the board, but like nothing was fluid. Nothing, like it wasn't cohesive, and that was probably like our I wouldn't say like our downfall. It didn't get us to where we wanted to be as a band at the time.
Yeah, it didn't all jive together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if we
All
put
right.
out a record with that band, you would think that you were listening to three different bands.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right. And Gabe, how about you?
Yeah, obviously play drums and been playing in bands, still playing a couple bands right now. And I guess I started back in probably the late 90s too, because I'm pretty old too. But I had a band back then called Raisland, and then after that started Clever Clever with Anthony and friend Aaron and Mike, and then I don't know, a couple different bands, and Mercy Gang, been playing with those guys forever. and now I play with Daggers, Mercy Gangs from time to time, and Major Pie. So I got a couple things going still.
Okay,
Mhm.
very cool. And
But
Old
yeah, been
Daggers,
doing
what
it
is that?
for a long time.
Very cool.
The
Yeah,
name,
it sounds like you guys have
I
been
could.
doing it for a while. So yeah, Old Daggers. Where does the name come from?
Love you.
Well, that's actually me too, because Anthony actually he used to, his Instagram handle or something was Young Machetes.
Yeah, the
So I
Blood
was just
Brothers
thinking of
album.
some opposite, yeah, like opposite, like, oh man, we're like Old Daggers or something, and it just stuck, you know. So that's where that comes from. Simple as that.
Well, I think it fits the
And
vibe of the music. It fits the the art that you guys have as far as your social media pages go and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean it's perfect.
thanks, man. Yeah, it does. It totally fits. Totally fits, man. It's cool.
Yeah, we had a hell of a time even thinking of a name, and then like that one just kind of it came out, and it was like this. Yeah, it works.
Yeah, that was pretty easy. It was like, yep, that sounds good. Let's move on. You know.
Next.
So,
Like
next,
we got
yeah,
other shit we got to do.
yeah,
That's usually the hardest part.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird thing. It's like, you try to be clever or you try to
yeah.
spell things different ways and all that kind of shit. And then like when you try too hard, it comes off that way, right? So it's
Yeah.
kind of cool that this kind of just happened the way it did.
Yeah, it just didn't want
Speaking of clever, like clever was our old band's name, and everyone used to call us Cleaver Clever or Clever Cleaver, and it was as simple as Clever Clever, and like people always tried to like make it more,
Yeah.
than it was, make it more unique or whatever. It was just so we like to keep it simple, and that's kind of like the music too. It's all feel, we don't really we don't try to overthink it, and we try to keep it simple. I think that's what it's about. We connect to that kind of music ourselves, so it's just we like our proggy shit and our techie shit, but there's nothing like a straight up rock and roll song, simple, verse, chorus, verse, bridge, good night, so that's kind of what we try to do. Keep
Yeah, we definitely don't overthink things. Like we just like again, it goes back to that organic aspect. It's like we don't if we feel like a song, like we're writing a song, we feel like it's becoming too much. It'll get thrown in the bag and we won't even touch it forever. Like because it's like we don't want to not waste our time, but it just doesn't click. Like it becomes work then.
Right.
Yeah, if we have to
Yeah.
think about it, we throw it out. If we have to put that much thought into it, it's like this isn't
Right. Because
just
the
happening.
majority sorry, the majority of the songs we've written like, on that record were probably written within that 5 minutes, like so if it happens naturally, we keep it most of the time. I think we've only really had to really work on one or two to try to work out different parts, but for the most part it just kind of, if it happens and everything clicks, that's kind of how it comes out, like the final product. It's just, and we try to, if it gets too complicated, we're like, all right, it's not working, and I'm sure
And
like
it's
mostly
almost
like
never worked out where like if I came to practice with like a riff or a chord progression in mind, I'll show it to them and we might mess around with it, but those are never the ones that stick. The ones that stick tend to be like we're in between songs, Chris is tuning and I'm just strumming something random off the top of my head. And then before you know it, Gabe starts drumming along and then Sean jumps in and then it's 20 minutes later we have a done song.
yeah, it's cool. I love when it happens like that.
Yeah, I mean, like
anytime I've come to practice with a riff, like, hey, this is going to be our next song, it has never been used.
Sometimes though, sometimes.
Yeah, it's definitely like we're definitely not in any way like knocking the people that put like like the work into like their craftsmanship, and like what they do. It's just that we've found for us it doesn't work that way. It's
Right.
you get us in a room and we're gonna write something like, like they're saying, like, just by messing around. Like we're not I keep on going back to saying everything like organically. And unless you're in the room with us, I don't think you understand how much that word comes into play, because it is extremely organic. I mean, we have, God, how many songs do we have in our bag that we don't even touch?
A
What
lot.
was the recording count for started songs last you knew, Chris?
I can look right now. I deleted a lot of them. 80.
Okay.
I mean, some things, but there's probably 40 different ideas in here. So that we may or may not go back to ever.
Well, yeah, I mean, everything sounds organic, and I think that may be because of your age too, and your experience, and having gone through all that shit. Like, you probably spent your younger years trying to force something that didn't make sense, and the music probably suffered for that reason. But like, you guys have grown, you're seasoned musicians. It's kind of like, when to throw it away. It's like, all right, yep, this is, put it in the back burner. Maybe we'll get to it later, maybe not. But like, you're smart enough now where you know that, okay, this isn't going to work, and like, let's just not waste our time.
Totally nailed it. Yep, I think you're right. It's just, you know,
I mean,
everyone has their process, but you're 100% right. Yeah, it's just
Well, I think that comes with everything in life as you get older, because like,
totally. Yeah,
there's so much stuff that like takes your attention and takes your time. So you have to be very um like mindful of like where you're kind of putting your time into things, and whether it's relationships or whether it's things at work or whatever it might be. Like, that, like, when to give it attention and when to not. So it's definitely, I think it comes with age and experience.
Well, it's funny
Well, yeah,
because
because I'm sorry, John. When
No, good.
when we practice hopefully once a week, and it's like 2.5 hours. So it's like when I was messing around with music when I was like 19, I had all the time in the world. I could sit in a room with my buddies for 6-7 hours on a Saturday and write one song. We have 2 hours like once a week. So if a song's going to sit and take us, 2 hours to even kind of get it started, it's like, next.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because like you bring up time, and like that's pretty much what like our songs are about. It's like, like wasting time or missed time, or just time in general. And actually, one of the quotes for one of our songs, 35 Summers, actually starts out with a quote from Tom Waits in Rumblefish about time being like a finicky thing, and
It's a
thinking
bitch.
about how much time you got. And one of the things is like, you got 35 summers. Like, and just thinking about that, like you only got 35 summers left. So it's like, you want to make sure that you're kind of like utilizing your time the right way with purpose, not just throwing days away here and there. I mean, even in our single that we just released, Up the Line, there's a line about, throwing days away like cellophane and getting caught up in that breeze, because, like when you're young and you have all that time, you're just drifting through life. But then, it comes a moment where you realize, hey, like there's an end to this race. So you want to slow your breathing. You want to get your tempo. You want to make sure you make it to the finish. And it doesn't matter if you come in first, you're not going to be last, but you're putting that time in, and that like you accomplish something at the end of it.
It sucks too that you don't realize that until you get older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're young, you have, oh yeah, I've got so much time to do X, Y, and Z. And it's not till you turn 40 or whatever, and it's like, fuck, like I'm halfway dead.
Yeah.
If
I
I'm
mean, if
lucky.
it was like the 1800s, we'd be ghost, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's, you never know. So it's cool that, like, it definitely, I think, comes across in, the way you guys write and all that kind of stuff, which is like, it's cool. It sucks getting older, but like there's so much you can do with the knowledge of getting older.
Well, Anthony's the young one, and look how cool he is with his glasses and cigs, man.
He's sitting in a throne there.
I'm jealous, man. Give me a cig.
Yeah.
Great.
He looks like a goddamn cult leader.
Let's go to Tiger King.
Cult of
Yeah.
personality.
Tiger King, or what is that? Is that his name? Tiger King?
Tiger King. Yeah.
Well, you said you have about 80 songs, kind of like, kind of there. How many songs do you have that you perform out and that are, available to the public right now?
I think right now we only have 4 available to the public. 3 of them are from our demo, and they are, basically rough cuts. I think we wrote them, and it was like, hey, you know what? Like, let's get in the studio, let's get this in there, and that was about 2.5 years ago now. Yeah, and now our
Yeah.
the new stuff that we have about what 10 songs.
10 songs
Yeah, it's a
recorded.
10-track album.
Yeah, 10-track album. We've only released 1 song off of it currently, which was Up the Line.
And that came out today, right?
Yeah, that's the one that's available. That's available on like pretty much everything, right, Chris?
Okay.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much the only new one that is available currently. We plan on release kind of like doing a slow release. We're all trying to get used to the fact that like nobody really people buy records or they buy CDs or like tapes and stuff like that, but digital is definitely kind of like the way to go. But we don't want to like throw it all out there at once, because it'll get kind of like lost in the fray.
I think we want
Yeah, the
to
release process is so different.
Yeah, we want to do like a vinyl, and because honestly, the sound of this record's so good that Eric from Windmill Agency, that's where we did the record, Eric Ritter.
He's our
It's
boy.
like it's the sound, like we're really impressed with it, like and it's not just because we did it, we just love. He did such a great job on this record, like he really like outdid himself, and he makes great art as it is. He's got a bunch of great records out there. Probably everybody locally that Popko has worked with him, and it's just like kind of like a wall of sound, we keep calling it, because there's a lot of shit going on, but it's so good. It's sonically so good. So we want to hear it on different kinds of mediums. Like I want to hear it on vinyl. I might want to hear it on tape just to see how it compresses, because it's just such a cool sounding record. It really is.
Yeah,
I love the way it came out.
Yeah, touching on the wall of sound thing. I mean, like I think like me and Gabe kind of talked about that the most, where it was like we want to go in and we want to like layer this. We want it to be like that big sound that you would hear with like that Phil Spector, and like the Wrecking Crew, and just like really just big, loud, and just something a little bit different from like like I guess like a rock and roll punk rock record, just something big. I mean, you would probably have to, if it didn't come down to time, we'd probably still be in the studio thinking about what we could add here and there, just to just to kind of keep it going, just because the process itself is fun. Working with Eric is phenomenal because he brings out, I swear, like the very best in all of us, and he's a producer beyond producers.
Yeah, and the vibe at his studio is one of the best.
Yeah,
it's not the best.
Yeah, second to none, bud.
Well, and I think your music and your vibe kind of lends itself to vinyl and hearing it that way too. I mean, I hate vinyl. Throw that shit in the trash.
Nice hot take over here.
That's just me. I mean, it's big, it's bulky, it doesn't sound. I don't think it sounds better than a CD. I mean, I understand. There's that warmth to it. It's an experience. I get all that, but like,
you like what you like. You're like you like more the hi-fi or like a more clear.
Yes, yeah. I mean, but
I guess that would be.
Yeah, I don't have room in my house for to be diving into these big ass records and shit.
Yeah.
Man,
No, trust
I
me, they
gave away
do
the
take up
majority
a
of my
lot of
stuff.
room.
If
You
you
know?
have them, no knock, no knock. I'm not knocking anybody, but it's just not for
Hear
me.
that?
I
Hear
know.
that?
Yeah.
Hear that, Harry Jenkins?
What does he
Yeah.
Hey,
think?
me, Chris, and Gabe all have records.
Yeah, I'm in the process of going through mine and selling off the ones that are worth a small fortune because, like, might help us to put out our
Yeah,
own record.
Chris has OGs from like '89 when they played, in Kingston.
No, I'm with Popko on this one. Like, so I mean, like I used to kind of like collect records here or there, and then I really didn't care. It was just one more thing I had to move with me from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So it just kind of like, I don't know, man. I'm a firm believer that technology is awesome because I can listen to all of that and it's in my pocket. Like I
Oh,
can take
trust
it
me.
with me.
Trust me, I got Spotify, man. And like I
Yeah.
love just the access, the easy access
Yeah.
to anything you want to hear. Trust me, I love that too. But
Well, it
there's something
definitely,
about records for me.
yeah, I mean, I fought Spotify and those streaming services for as long as I financially could. I really did. I was going to Gallery of Sound. I mean, I'm probably out of the game for oh, maybe 3 or 4 years, but I was literally going to Gallery of Sound every week. And even if I didn't have a purpose to be in there, I would buy something because I just liked the whole process. I like going through the use section. I like going through the art on the front. And I mean, even after I bought the CD, you take the insert out and you kind of go through it, yada yada yada. Even towards the end there, I was still coming home, opening it, putting it on my computer, transferring it to my iPod when I had one of those, and just for ease. But I wanted to go, I wanted to have the experience, I wanted to buy it.
Yeah. The experience of buying music was definitely always something that I really
Yeah,
liked.
but like I
That's
mean,
maybe that's why I like records now again, because I can go do that, flip through them,
and again, like I said, I get the experience of going through the whole process, buying it, flipping through it, putting it on the record player, sitting down with it, and you're forced to listen, from song one
Yeah.
to whatever, 5 or whatever is on the first side. I get all that, but like financially for me, it was just like I was spending $200 a month at Joe
Yeah,
Nardone's Gallery of Sound. Shout out Joe, but like,
totally.
I'm like I can't do this. I have a kid now. It's like what am I doing? I can't.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I just and like you said, it's now it's all in the palm of your hand, and which is good and bad. Excuse me. It's so like I mean, I don't know how about you guys are, but like I have maybe undiagnosed FOMO. Because you're listening to something and it's like, oh, I'm 30 seconds in, I know this song, like let's hear something new or whatever it might
Oh
be.
yeah, like not
It
getting
sucks.
that whole full experience.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
was cool when records were recorded, from song 1 to 10, and they were recorded in a way that it kind of flowed that way,
Mhm.
or kind of maybe told a story, maybe not so much for the listener, but maybe it was for the artist in general. I
Totally.
miss those days. I miss those things.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely kind of miss putting on like maybe like a record or a CD or a tape for like the first time and discovering like that song that was tucked in the middle, somewhere between like the hit tracks, the one song that was just everybody else kind of just brushed away like, oh, it's just it's a filler song or it's a throwaway. But to me, like those songs a lot of the times were like that was like the heart of the record.
Mhm.
I'm like,
It's
I mean,
almost
I
gone
do
back.
miss that.
It's almost gone backwards, like the old Motown days with
Yeah.
just dropping one record and singles are the big
Single.
thing,
Yeah.
and
Well,
that's
that's why.
fine. That's fine too, like I'm one of them too. I like to do the hit the mix and hear all like, just let it rip and I don't have to hear one person the whole time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I like the variety of hearing a bunch of different stuff.
I think that's why, like, when it comes down to records, I think the only records that I really like, I like 45s. Like, I just like those, like you have your A and your B, you got like maybe like one or two songs on one side, one or two songs on the other side, because one side is they're the songs that like the record company wanted you to put out there. But then on the B side, those are the songs that the musicians wanted to have on the record. Like they're the songs that like that's what they love. And I always just kind of like loved experiencing that. And I just recently have dipped into a whole bunch of 45s, and that's like what I've been doing like lately. It's just kind of like these, 1-2 off things, and just I don't know, just listening.
Yeah.
What about hidden songs, hidden tracks?
Man, I miss hidden tracks. And speaking of hidden
Me
tracks,
too. Me too.
and speaking of hidden tracks, we kind of have one.
We were going to have one. I think it's just going to be a regular track
it's
now.
gonna end up just being released. Yeah.
One song is stylistically very, very, very different than everything else on the album.
Yeah, but
And
don't
it kinda was
tell
our-
them which one it is. Let them
Yeah,
guess.
no.
Yeah.
But one song is very stylistically different, and we kind of wrote it almost as a joke. And that was always going to be the plan. Was like, hey, we'll record the album, we'll make that the hidden track. But then it ended up like kind of just being good and cool enough where we were like, let's just put this on the album. Like it sounds great. Like we didn't want to hide it. And with like Spotify and digital music nowadays, how do you even put a hidden track out on something? Because even albums that I remember as a kid had like hidden tracks on them. When you go on the Spotify like album, it just
says hidden track. Yeah, it says
and it's just track. Like a separate track. You don't have that. You forgot that you left the CD playing, and then 5 minutes goes by, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, hey, here's a hidden song.
Yeah, the only way I could think about doing something like that anymore is like if like you have, say, like I don't know, like you have a digital copy that you send out to everybody where it's like, hey, like, scan this QR takes you to like your Spotify or whatever. But then there's like maybe like a small like hidden QR like on like whatever you're handing them, and like people just kind of discover it naturally and just hit that. And that's the only way that I could think of anybody doing it.
Well, I think the way you do it now is, let's say your
now.
your last track is track 10, and track 10 turns into a 13-minute song, and maybe the front part of that is 3 minutes. It runs through, and then it picks up, whatever it might be. But like it's funny.
I don't know, man. I've been burned by songs like that before.
I discussed this before, and I'll ask you guys the same question. I wonder how many songs do you think have gone unheard? Now, not unheard in the entire world, right? Like I'm sure there's always one person that's going to hear it, right? But like, how many songs do you think that you've missed or someone's missed?
I don't know if there's as many as at least when I grew up, hidden tracks were kind of a thing, like in the late 90s, early 2000s. So you kind of knew to look out for them, and everyone would show everyone. So you knew like Green Day's Dookie had All By Myself at the end of it. You knew Nevermind had Endless Nameless at the end of it, because everyone just talked about it. And you just knew that it existed.
Yeah, I think
before that time, I don't know.
The one Deftones record has one too, like Around the Fur.
Like I would look for it. I would look at the last track on the album and be like, okay, is it 14 minutes long? Because if it is, there's a hidden track.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that new metal era had some cool, crazy shit going on. Like that
Korn
one
had Earache My Eye.
You remember that Korn album that started on like 13 minutes or something?
Started on track 13.
Yeah, started on 13. Yeah.
All the leader.
That was kind of interesting.
And what do you guys think?
And that also had Earache My Eye as a hidden track.
Right.
What's that?
I think it's cool. I just don't think it's as viable as it might have been once.
Right. I mean, like, so
because for me, that was always you put on a CD and you hear a hidden track.
Right. But I mean, I miss the old way, and I love the new way, because now you can hear music from your favorite artist every 2 months, every 8 weeks, as opposed to waiting 2 years.
But do you feel that takes away from the specialness or the connection to the music
Sure.
to have it to be able? Because like I remember, say like when I was a kid and I was like 16, and I might have an extra $30 from an allowance or a side job, whatever that week. I would take that $30 and I would go to the mall and I'd go to like the Wall or whatever FYE, whatever was going on there at the time, and I would just look through until I saw like an album cover or a band name or something that was like, oh, this is cool. And whether that album was great or terrible, it was still special because that might be the only money I had that month to buy a CD. And that's all the new music I have for a month.
100%. I so much of my life, and I always, I could tell you if I own the CD, I can tell you within about a 2-month period, sometimes within weeks, sometimes within the exact week, in rare occasions, the exact day of when an album came out, just because it was every 2 years. Like, and music for me, I would tie it to the summer of 2001 when I graduated high school, or '05 when I finished college, or '03 when I dated this certain girl and we hung out for 2 or 3 months or whatever it was. Like, music is so powerful in so many different ways. And I think, and this is just my opinion, I think to an extent it's been a little diminished based on how it is consumed and released these days. Can you hear
I
a
think
song
it
in the
goes
club?
farther back because I feel like my deep personal connection with music started waning even just with the ability to burn CDs like that early on, like the kind of early 2000s, because then I had all my albums. But then every time my friend got a new album, I just burned a copy of it. And then before I knew it, my little collection of like 40, 45 albums became 245 because I'm burning every one of my friends' albums.
See,
Then I have a ton of stuff to listen to, and it's not as
that's
not
fine.
as personal.
That's fine, and that's good for you. And we all could do that, but I refused. I refused to do that because I was like, I was a big like nut. Like, I wanted, like, when Napster was around, like, yeah, was it cool? Sure, but I was like, I remember writing papers in college about like how the music industry or what they should do to avoid people wanting to steal music or rip it, because I was like, I love music and I love musicians. I love like the talent that they have and the ability to create this thing, because like I can't do it. Like, I mean, I force myself to be a part of it by doing this stupid little podcast I do. But like, I have so much respect for like you guys and like musicians who like can kind of compile a work of art. And I'm not talking shit on you for ripping music off, but I refuse to do it. I just didn't do it. That's why I was buying
Yeah.
CDs for so long too, because I wanted to keep buying CDs, because in my mind I'm supporting the artist. I'm supporting the cause, right? But I mean, it just got to a point where I couldn't financially
I
do
know, and
that.
now you don't even have to, because and really they're not getting paid. They're getting paid a fraction of a cent per listen or
Right.
download or whatever. But I'm totally with you there. Like, even when we play with local bands, I'll try to buy a t-shirt or a whatever I can, a button, stickers, to help support them, because it costs money to make a record. It costs a lot of money to do that. It costs money if they're touring. Everything costs money. And I kind of fought it like you did in the early days, and I always bought the music instead of like burned it. And then I got like an iPod Touch or something, and I was like,
You're forced to.
here we go.
And
Right,
Anthony,
you're forced to.
I hope you
Exactly.
don't think I'm talking like I'm not
Oh
mad.
no, because what I'm also factoring in is the slightest of generational differences.
Mhm.
When CD burning became like kind of everyone's, PC just came with the ability to burn a CD.
Yeah.
I was like 13.
See,
So it was like I didn't have a job. I lived up in like Jefferson Township in the country. There wasn't a store that was close where I can get music. So it was normal for me because I was so young. And it was also just my only way to consume something I loved,
Right.
because I couldn't just go. take the bus down the road to the mall to get a CD. It was a 45-minute drive.
Right.
Anthony, story of how I ruined you.
Well, yeah,
It's Anthony's fault. It's Anthony's fault.
No, it's my fault.
Well, yeah, Chris was his teacher at school.
That's
Believe it
how
or
we
not.
met. Actually, he
Oh,
was
man.
How
my
about
teacher.
that?
There we go.
Yeah, we're going
So
right.
There's the age
Hey,
difference
you want to
right
go
there.
deep?
Full circle. Anthony, how
Full
old are you?
circle.
I'm 35.
Oh, so you're not that young.
Nah,
Chris, how old are
he's
you?
I'm 48.
You
Almost
look good for 48. Damn, dude.
Well, yeah, Chris is
Yeah, he
cool.
looks the youngest of all of us. Trust me.
I'm not hitting on you, but damn, dude, look, you look good for 48. Shit.
Yeah,
You know
we
what's
don't
funny?
age, man.
You know what's
Nor
funny
any
about
greater.
like the music part, like touching on like the burning of CDs and etc. Like I never really got into that. Like, I mean, you know, I would get like a burned CD from somebody of something, but for a little while there, I used to just love the way I would get my music was I used to love just going to shows and it didn't matter what show it was. And I would just buy a record or a CD or a tape and I would just honestly listen to that and then maybe like pick up like a distro, like whoever distributed like that or whoever was like on that label. I would seek them out and I would get like more bands from that. Like I was always very I cared more like I guess like locally or not just locally but like kind of like within the scene. Like that was more like my music, you know? Like I mean, you don't get me wrong, I would listen to like the influences of such or you know like whatever, but the majority of music that I ever owned was always stuff that I saw live or was accessible to me live very easily.
Well, I mean, we talked earlier about, bands make very little off of, streaming and even like maybe even less on CDs, but like I think that they make a lot of money is shows, like selling stuff at shows, merch, all that kind of shit. And I think bands forget how like yeah, I work at Axelrad screen printing, and a lot of times bands are afraid to, invest in 24 shirts or whatever it might be. There's all this like you can run stores on the internet, and they think that like Joe Blow from Wilkes-Barre is going to buy a T-shirt randomly on a Tuesday online, and it's like no, like people are going to buy your shirt at a show because they're high on the experience. They just got done watching you guys fucking play. Sean just fucking jumped off the stage and kicked, a speaker over and smashed his guitar. It's like, holy shit, like that fucking band is awesome. I gotta buy their fucking t-shirt because it was a great fucking time. Like that still exists and that's still so important. I think that there's just so much about music and shows that like that whole just the whole thing. Like
Yeah, it's
I
a
don't know.
communal shared energy, and to leave with the trophy from it, whether that be a shirt, a button, a CD, or just sweat,
Yeah.
there's nothing like sharing
Drumstick,
that
yeah.
together,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. I used to love just
it.
grabbing like seeing a band that like I loved and grabbing like a guitar pick or like a set list or like, a drumstick, something like that. I mean, one of my old bands we played with DRI in like the early 2000s and they were like my band. Like I loved that band ever since I was a kid. I finally got to play with them and the one piece of everything that I bought that night, the one piece that I cherish is like a broken drumstick. I mean, like that's my Kumite trophy, like
I remember like leaving a show at like CC's when I was like 13 and saying, man, I could die happy tonight because like I just saw all the bands I wanted to see and I was completely just drained, but like in a good way. And it was like the best feeling ever. And you just walk off, and it's so good,
well, and even touching on that, like that's kind of something that like we as a band want to deliver, like we want to give people like that experience, we want people to walk away going, holy shit, like that was a really good time, like I don't know, like I mean I want to give people like that, like man, like we may be old daggers, but like sure as shit, like we're young at heart, like 100%, and just we want to like I don't know, like show everybody that I
You're still sharp.
yeah, like
Yeah.
we are like, I mean, like the Cox Bar song, you know, we're still sharp as a knife, you know, I mean, like we're still there.
And I think when people really jump into the record when we release it, that like Sean's lyrics are really there's a lot of stories, you know. It's really cool once you get
Yeah, they're
into
beautiful.
it. It's almost like it's like you know, a lot of I relate to a lot of the shit that he's writing about because I've been in like the one lyric is like, you know, in the Jersey sand, you know, talk like whatever it is, but I've been there, you know, like and I'm hoping that people connect to that like I do, you know. And live it's just we're having fun, so
Yeah.
it's not hard for everyone else to have a good time, you know. So we're really enjoying it, you know. We love
Yeah,
to play, you know.
I was gonna ask you, like, the show we have at the V-Spot on Saturday night, June 24th. What can people kind of expect from your live performance?
Well, we gotta not have Chris drink because then he'll get on the microphone for like 20 minutes. I'm just messing with you, Chris.
Nah, Chris is good for that. He goes into diatribes when he has
He
a
really does.
little too
Yeah.
much to drink
And it's
when he's
fun.
vibing.
Yeah. It's a
Um,
lot of fun.
You know what? Like when it really comes down to it, I don't know what people could expect because like we don't know. You know, I mean, like we go into everything blind. You
Yeah,
know,
we just get up there and do it.
yeah, like I mean, we're
It's all
there
about-
we're there to like have fun. Like we're not stressing about it because every time that we ever stress about anything when it comes down to playing, it backfires on us.
Mhm.
You know, it's like playing with a loaded gun. Like it's gonna go off and it's gonna go south and it's gonna go the way you don't want it to go. So we just kind of just go, we bullshit with everybody that's around there, and then like when we're on stage, it's like, I mean, we're not one of those bands that's like, you know, swirling guitars around our bodies and, you know, like swinging from the rafters and shit like that. But like, I mean, we engage.
That's
We,
because there's not any rafters anywhere around
yeah,
here.
no, there isn't. No.
Yeah.
And
But
I can't swing shit around my like around my body. It's gonna hit off the roof in like 2 seconds, and like
we're
that's it. We're not playing anymore.
honestly, we're
Throw
just
everybody on
hoping
the
that we're just hoping it's loud and we can hear ourselves and then we'll have some fun, you know what I mean?
roof.
And we're looking forward to seeing the other bands we're playing with too, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
Saturday night because it's
Yeah,
gonna be
bands from out of town.
yeah, we got some out of town bands coming in and they're all great and it's gonna be
Yeah, we got Typhoid Rosie coming in from Brooklyn, and they are just fun as all hell. Like they're just they're so energetic.
Wild.
They bring a great show. You know, I mean, like we may not have like theatrics or anything like that, but I mean, like, you know, like we deliver. But man, when it comes down
Chris.
to like engagement, Rosie from Typhoid, like she engages, and
He
it's
brings the heat.
yeah, brings it completely. And the guys in the Buckos, we did how many? We did one show with them in Bloomsburg.
Buckos are great too. They're
Yeah,
awesome.
they're amazing. Like, and they like their new stuff that they've been writing has been channeling some. It's given me a very early like Beastie Boys vibe with like some, you know, like with some Rancid backing it, and it's really good. And you know, we already talked about Second Suitor earlier. Another great band that's coming down. That's like, you know, like they're poppy, they're fun. Like it, you know, like this area knows them. So it'll be good to really introduce this area to like new bands, you know,
Yeah.
that maybe they haven't heard, you know, because once in a while in this area, you know, you could kind of get boxed in with like the same sort of like local bands kind of being recycled through a lot of places. So to bring in like, you know, like new music, new bands, just new anything, it just broadens everything. I mean, if I was a kid and I went to a show for the first time and it had four bands from the tri-state area, it's like that just opened up the tri-state area to me.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, that's what I miss horribly about this. I mean, this area was amazing, and people, I always tell the story that years ago when I first started teaching, I had a kid ask me, he's like, "So how many bands do you think you've seen?" I'm like, I don't know, 3,000. I'm like, are we talking about individual shows? Like, have I seen bands multiple times? And they looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like, no, seriously, probably 3,000. And I'm like, you have to understand that there was a time where, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there was a show and there was 5 bands on every show. And you'd be hanging out in Wilkes-Barre or in Scranton. And like, it's just the way it was. Like, I cannot even remember half of the bands that I've seen. I'm not as good as Matt Gray, who wrote everything down. Who has a record of everyone he's ever seen since like 1988.
That's incredible. I can't believe that.
Good idea.
He wrote down every band he's ever seen. So like,
but think about it. We had the Pancake House in Lake Ariel. Remember?
I forgot about the pancake.
Like it was like really in the woods, and that shit would get packed up. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
Life of Agony played there,
Yeah.
and they burnt the place down basically. And every hardcore band that you'd ever imagine came through there.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like we like this area, it used to be, it was known far and wide that like this was like a pit stop. This was a pit stop between like New York and Philly. So like we got some of like the greatest bands that passed through here. And that doesn't negate like, any of the bands that are here like now at all. I mean, like the bands that are here now, I mean, like I honestly think this area it's in some sort of renaissance because there are bands that are coming out of like, there's bands coming from up the line and down the line that are just phenomenal. I know that Popko, you had S Dakota on not that long ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a phenomenal band, like
Phenomenal, yeah.
unbelievably enjoyable, like good people. And I mean, like there's so much going on in this area, and I haven't seen anything like this since I was like a teenager.
There's so much talent in this area. There's so many good bands. It's so true. Like it's unbelievable. It's always been this way, but like now there's not as many venues to showcase it.
Yeah.
So it is tough to like not run into the same 4 bands playing together at the same 4 places.
Yeah.
So it's bound to happen, but well,
that's like when I had the radio show, like I thought I was like plugged into like what was going on. And when I started that, I got introduced to so many new artists, and I was like, holy shit, this area is more than I even imagined. And if I saw correctly, I think you guys will be on 97.9X this coming Sunday. Right?
Actually we were just
on. Okay.
Yeah, just past Sunday. Yeah.
But it's so cool that and we still have a station that will play, local artists. Because it's just so good. It's like, and that's why I love the fact that I can, like I said before, like force my way into the lives of bands like you guys, just because like I'm just so passionate about what you're doing, and maybe it doesn't reach the audience that is the radio station, or maybe it doesn't reach XYZ. It's just like if I can get to 5 new people for anyone I talk to, like that's cool for me. And it's just cool like that you guys are doing what you're doing, and it's definitely, I feel like it's like your genre is kind of like you're specifically like there's obviously rock and roll, but like there's not really a band out there right now in this area at least that's like you guys, in my opinion.
Oh wow, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Just like the the style and all that kind of stuff. It's just like but and then I also, is this your first time playing the V-Spot?
No, it's third.
Yeah.
So you're familiar. All right.
Second or third. Yeah.
Third with this
Vinny's
band, we've all played there like with various projects over the years many times.
Yeah, Vinny's the man. It'll be a great show.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're super stoked on it.
Definitely looking forward to it.
I'm trying to figure out how to con my wife into coming. It's our anniversary is the 27th, so our plan was to do dinner on the 24th.
Dude, V-Spot has good wings, man.
Well, yeah, so
go.
I mean that's good enough for me, right?
I'm fucking with you.
Their cheesesteak will knock your socks right off.
Dude,
That house gravy.
I
Oh,
I have no problem celebrating my anniversary at the V-Spot bar in
Yeah.
Scranton.
It's
No
all
problem.
about her. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think we've actually told, well, my mother-in-law, her mother, or asked rather, if she will just like watch our children sleep while we go out for dinner.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen. And if I can drag her up to Scranton, I definitely will, because between you guys and Second Suitor, and obviously you guys talk very highly of the other two bands you have on the bill. So
And it's
Uh,
Sean's birthday.
yeah.
And
Yes.
it's Sean's birthday.
son of a
My
bitch.
birthday and a couple.
There might be cake there.
Yeah, there's a couple of our friends also sharing the same birthday weekend, so it's gonna be fun. Like
There will be cake.
Yeah, we are definitely looking forward to it. We love the V-Spot. I mean, they treat us like family. I mean, like we go in there, and I mean, I think we were in there like maybe like a month and a half ago, all of us just kind of bullshitting, and we always get such positive feedback on like what we're doing and like what we're, like where we're going. And it's just, it's nice. It's nice to have those, like, like those allies, I guess,
Yeah, not only do they like let you play there, but they like keep up on you when you haven't played there in a year. Every time one of us goes in there, they're like talking about whatever new thing we just posted, or like, oh, when you guys playing here again. Like they're more supportive than just providing you a stage to play on. Like they actually support you and like you in every form.
Yeah, Vinny's mission since the day he opened in 2010, I believe it was, has been to support local music and give musicians a place to perform. And him and Frank have obviously done that. They've invested in the building and building that stage, and it's one of the last few places for musicians to really perform at. We have the Jazz Cafe and the V-Spot, and we used to have Carl Hall, and we used to have the Stage West, and
Yeah,
Yeah,
the other side of Martin Irby's.
yeah,
we really enjoyed like Carl Hall. Like, I mean,
Yep.
that was definitely, I think,
Yeah, we had a lot of
that and
fun
like
in
the
there.
V-Spot, probably like the places that were like that are like the best. I mean, like it's unfortunate with Carl Hall, but I mean, things happen, and I mean, especially it's Wilkes-Barre, so obviously things are gonna happen. So
Thank God for Vinny and Frank for keeping that thing and doing what they did with that, and to continue to do it.
Oh yeah,
That-
and they're
that's-
keeping it alive in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's and that's probably the best place to play in Scranton right now. I don't think there's any other place really
no.
that great to play. And maybe it's just because I don't get out much, but
Well, a lot of places are just gone now.
Yep.
yeah,
Vinny-
that's what I mean.
Not
Yeah,
there anymore.
well, and it also brings in such a diverse crowd that, like, I love it. It actually kind of reminds me, there used to be a club down in York called the Depot, and it reminds me of the Depot because it would bring in just like every walk of life imaginable.
yeah, every demographic.
Yeah, and
yeah.
every single person would just like love what was going on, and like that. Yeah, it is definitely a great place. We're definitely happy to be there and given like the opportunity to headline our, like our show. Like, I
Right.
mean, it's definitely like we've only gotten our toes wet so far. So, kind of like looking forward to see what happens, moving forward.
Cool.
And Popko, real quick, just thank you, man, for doing what you do, because you're part of keeping the scene alive. Like,
Hell yeah.
for real, man.
Yeah, I mean, you're just as you're in the same boat as us, as much as like you're not paying the bills with this. You do it for the love of it and because you have to do it, not because you even want to do it. Probably at this point, it's the same reason all the bands do it. You're in the same boat.
Yeah, exactly. You deserve as much praise as any of the bands, because you're doing it too, man. So it's appreciated, brother.
Well, I
Yeah,
appreciate
it's all
that, and
about putting in that work.
I'm just really honestly, I'm happy to be a part of it. I really am. It means a lot
Well,
to me.
we're definitely happy that you are a part of it.
Thank
You
you.
know, and like we've known each other for quite some time now, and you know, like we've always had like a really good, strong rapport, and you know, I mean, like it will just do nothing but continue.
I appreciate those kind of words. I really do. I know you guys have an album coming out, right?
Yeah,
Is there a
Yeah,
timeline on
it's
that?
finished.
it is definitely it is finished.
When can we expect it? When are we going to hear it?
We are
Good question.
yeah, we're deciding on a name, and then some
Artwork.
artwork. I kind of been batting around a whole bunch of like different pieces of artwork lately. You know, like I mean, as far as like updating our logo and
Yeah, Sean, by the way, does all of our logos, all of our artwork, all of our flyers for shows. Like Sean's an awesome artist outside of music.
so I mean, like I've been
Yeah.
trying to come up with something. Been thinking, I don't know, just kind of don't want to do like a random self title, you know, just
Sure.
because I feel like we kind of the work that we put into it, it kind of deserves a little bit more. And we kind of want to have it, I don't know, kind of like, again, I'll say this one more goddamn time.
No, we're not calling it organic.
No, no, but it's definitely gonna happen organically.
Sure. I get it,
No,
man.
because I've been batted around about like maybe just calling it Green Ridge and just taking a shot of the space outside, and that's it. Just because like that's where it all started, man. But
Yeah, I don't know yet. We haven't even really talked about that, but
yeah,
we definitely need artwork and a plan to release it. But we are gonna drop a couple songs off it as we go, and then
Yeah.
we'll come up with a day when we're just gonna give it all away.
yeah, maybe with maybe we can, well, I don't know, what do you guys think? What do you think about like maybe releasing one more with this podcast?
This Friday?
Yeah.
I mean,
And you attaching one with
No, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. No, here's why. I love the idea. I love the idea, but then it's too much content release.
oh, that's true.
You
Too
want
much.
to push this on Friday. I'll be pushing this. You push it, help promote the show, all that kind of stuff, and then do this song.
Yeah,
Save that so you can keep going and keep building.
yeah, it's too
Listen,
close.
man, we're
We
all
just
new to
dropped
this
the other
bullshit.
song Sunday, so
Yeah.
it's too close to the other
Yeah.
drop anyway.
I love the
but-
sentiment. I do. I love it. I love the idea. But
Yeah.
Well, that's why I threw it out there. That's why I said, "Hey guys, you know, team
Yeah.
effort here."
dummy,
All right?
a stupid idea.
But the next one we do release, well, we don't even know which song yet.
Yeah, like we're
I don't think
sitting
we've
on-
even had a conversation about it yet at all.
Yeah, we're sitting on some really good. Well, like I mean, obviously, we're gonna sit there and we're gonna say, "Oh man, they're awesome," you know.
Sure.
But it is about finding like the right one to release next. But as far as releasing like and like the whole thing in its entirety, I mean, we really don't know. I mean,
This
I know-
year? Are we talking this year?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
this
All
year,
right.
definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, by then we'll probably have a whole new roster of songs, hopefully. But no, we're definitely looking. We're definitely going to do it within. I would think like by end of summer, early fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
'cause
like
we're also navigating a world where like you used to just like drop a full length album and it's like here's your album and it's like
Yeah.
that's not really the way it's done anymore. It's like
Right.
a lot of times when you look at bigger bands, it's very much like half the album's released before the album even comes out because the single drops every couple weeks or couple months leading up to it, and it's just different than it was when we first started being in bands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just going to build up that.
So
tempo.
it's trying to navigate. Okay, what's the right way to do it?
Yeah.
Well, I
So
say throw it.
It's just a tip right now.
Yeah. Do it your own way. Fuck the.
Exactly.
Yeah.
the
That's it. That's pretty much what our motto has been, is like we're just doing it our way. You know, I mean, like like
Like Frank
one
Sinatra.
thing
That could be
we
your secret song. The
There you
Frank,
go.
yeah, I did it my way.
well, I
I
mean, like
did it my
we
way.
unfortunately like we've had to kind of turn like we've turned down some like shows and stuff like that just because of schedules. And I mean, like it's never been a like it's never been malicious or like in any sort of bad blood. It's just that like we have to do things kind of like our way,
Yeah.
you know.
One last question. I'll let you guys go.
Go
'Cause
for it.
it's getting late on a Tuesday. We've got families, we got jobs, we got things to do tomorrow. It's
No,
10:30.
Chris has off. It's summertime.
Chris is a teacher. Yeah, he's not doing nothing tomorrow.
Chris,
He's
Chris,
good.
okay. Do you think they find this submarine that's missing,
No way, man. That shit was eaten by Cthulhu.
dude?
What the fuck, right? Isn't
Dude,
that
it's
crazy?
so
Yeah, I don't-
crazy. It's so
I don't
crazy.
think
like-
so.
Yo, first of all, who willingly gets into a small submarine with a whole bunch of other millionaires
Well,
and it has, like,
yeah,
a video game controller as like
That's-
your navigation system?
that's
Look,
funny.
I'm terrified of the ocean. I'm not going in a submarine with
Yeah, dude,
anyone
there's
for any
shit in
reason.
there we don't know.
Oh,
That's
Yeah, we
what
don't-
that's what my Brittany said. She said, "Who the fuck wants to get and go under the water in the submarine?" But
well,
I
they have
know
too
they're
much money.
checking out the Titanic. You know,
Too much
but
money. Nothing to do with it. Give it to me.
What
Yeah,
what
I mean-
happened to the thing? What's your theory, Popko?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's fascinating. I do like, just the whole like it disappeared and they only have so much time of oxygen left. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
I hope they're still alive. I hope the thing rises to the top and they get rescued. I don't want to see anyone die. I don't care how much
Same,
money you have,
yeah.
but like,
No, you know what it was? COVID-19 vaccine. That's what it was.
it sunk the submarine.
You know?
Yeah. It found them.
But here's an idea, millionaires. Instead of doing stuff like that, just give it to me. You won't
Right.
die.
Right?
You won't
That's a
die.
great idea.
You won't die, and I will put it to good use.
Exactly.
exactly.
I promise.
Well, with millionaires, can you find a way to make it tax deductible? Because then it might perk up a little more.
Yeah, we'll figure it
Yeah.
out.
Might shake some more change loose.
We'll figure
It's
it
like,
out.
how much extra money do you have? It's like, yeah, I'm bored. Let's go look at the Titanic next week.
Yeah.
You know?
Why would you even want to go down and look at it? You know what I mean? It's
Because
like,
they can. Because they fucking can.
Exactly.
it's true.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, if I could go and look at, I mean, I wouldn't spend that amount of money, but
If you had $1 billion, you would because you
Yeah, you would.
Yeah,
because
You'd
but
run out
didn't-
of shit
yeah,
to
but
do.
didn't
You'd
James
run out of
Cameron-
shit to do.
yeah, but didn't James Cameron, when he did Titanic, didn't he like put all of his money into making sure that every single aspect of the ship on film was historically and visually accurate? So all you have
Well,
to do
it
is just
said,
watch
Yeah,
it said
the
that the
it-
only reason he made Titanic was to get a film studio to pay him to be able to go down and see the wreck.
I don't know.
Really?
Yo,
Wow,
these
this
rich
is
people-
going deep here.
Yeah, these rich
This is
people get
crazy.
hard off of the weirdest shit.
I'd
Yeah.
read a lot of stupid articles.
I
don't
love
know.
it.
Before
Old
you know
Daggers.
it, they're going to be rubbing up against like Nagasaki shadows and shit like that. You know, like God.
Popko, thank you so much for having us,
Yeah.
brother.
Old
Yeah, man,
Daggers.
thank you.
Check them out streaming online. Check them out at the show on Saturday at the V-Spot. Stay tuned for their upcoming album to be released. We'll see this year at some point. But
In
guys,
the near
thank
to
you.
distant future.
Absolutely this year. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate your time and looking forward to seeing you guys live at some point. Hopefully this Saturday.
Yeah, hopefully,
Bring
brother.
the wife,
Yeah.
celebrate your anniversary. It'll be
I
great.
know.
Yeah.
In style. I know. We'll see what I can do.
And if not, you'll catch us, man. We'll be around. We're playing some shows coming up, so
Sweet. Looking forward to it.
appreciate you, man.
Thanks for having
Guys.
us, man.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
we'll see you.
Yeah.